Alright, so let's take a look at this HTML links and images assignment. So the assignment says follow the steps in the worksheet to create a web page with the listed links on it. Once complete, submit to Canvas. So let's take a look at it. Alright, so basic links and images assignment. So we're going to be saving the web page as externallinks.html. So I'm going to first go to my text edit, and I'm gonna say actually new document. Alright, and I'm just gonna drag this to the side here, make it big. For you, you'd be using Notepad, so just open Notepad and you can type in there. So the first thing I have to do, like always, I have to start setting up my web page. So we have to think, what is the first thing that we need? And first we need to establish what type of document this is. So I know I'm writing an HTML page for a web page. So I'm going to click my angle bracket and I'm going to write document type. Right? And I don't want to forget my exclamation point. So my document type, and then I'm going to write HTML. And again, you can either write the 5 or you can just write HTML and close your angle bracket. So I'm saying what type of document I want. The next thing I want to do, I hit enter a few times, or you can have it directly under. It's up to you how you want to style the code on your page. Next thing I want to do is I want to establish what type of document this is. So I said it's an HTML document, so I need to follow that with HTML. HTML. Alright, and you can get fancy, you can have an attribute like language in there or something like that, but I'm just going to write HTML, and then I'm going to follow my HTML with what comes next. So I want you to think, so I have my HTML, and what's the first thing that I need on the page? It's the first thing that the browser is going to see. So it knows it's an HTML page. Now it's going to look for the information that it needs. So it's going to look for my head tags. So remember, everything within the head tags is just for the browser. So I'm still working with the browser right now. So I'm going to write head tags. And this is where I could put my metadata, other things like my title. So right now I'm going to write title. And I'm going to title my web page. Remember, your web page will not work without a title. So you have to have a title. The title is just this little tag at the top of your tab that says whatever it says, HTML iframe tag or whatever. That is where the title will show. So I'm going to write title. This is called basic links and images. Alright? And then I always have to close out my tags. So I have that title tag. So what do I need to write? I need to close that out. So I'm going to go angle bracket / and then I'm going to write title. Right? So remember, most of the time I'm going to have 2 tags. So an opening tag and a closing tag. The opening tag is without the / and the closing tag is with the /. So I'm going to click down here and I'm going to close out my head tag. Like I said, there could be other stuff like meta tags that we'll get into down the road, which could go inside of this heading. You maybe your style sheet, other things. But right now I'm just having it, just closing it out with just the title. Right? And you can format this, put some spaces in it. Oops. So that it looks a little bit nicer. I'm going to add some more. So this just makes it easier to read when it has this like cascading style to it. Or I shouldn't say cascading because we're going to get to cascading style sheets, but just makes it a little bit easier to read. Alright, so next thing I need to do is I need to add in my body. So your head is always above your body. So remember, your body follows that head. So I'm going to go body, and I'm just going to copy the spacing I have on this and paste it in front of body. And if I had an actual HTML editor, this would go a lot smoother. So when we get to GitHub or CodePen, it'll be a lot easier to code because it'll organize your coding as well as putting in the extra opening and closing tags for you. So I have body, and I'm going to hit enter. I'm gonna type in a headline. So I know I don't have that in the, so it says step 1, save the page as external link. So I haven't saved it yet, but I will in a second. But I know it doesn't say add a headline in there, but let's always make our page the best as possible. So let's make it organized. So I'm gonna do an angle bracket. If you can remember, I'll give you a clue of what we need to write. I'm gonna click an H right here. See if you can remember what needs to come in there to create a headline. All right. So I'm gonna go H1 and then close that out. And I'm gonna type external links. If I can spell it right, links. And then I'm gonna close it out, slash, and do my H1 again and close it. Remember, any space that you have in here, it'll always just be one space in HTML. So you don't, this is called white space collapsing. So all these gaps that I'm adding in here, they won't show up in my actual web page. They'll only show up in my code when I'm viewing it in coding mode. All right, so I'm gonna click H1, I click enter, and then I need to create 5 external links. So I'm just gonna do a link real quick. So I'm gonna copy this right here and I'm gonna do a link. So a link, I need my angle bracket, and we always need an anchor, and then it's anchor's always followed by a hyperlink reference. So I'm gonna write href, which is an attribute, and remember our attributes always have the same format. They have, it's the name equals value. So I'm gonna say attribute, the name is href, equal sign, and then I'm gonna put my quotation marks, which is my value, and then I'm gonna close this. So actually so I have angle bracket herf, and then it says the text should be the name of the website, not the full URL. So I'm gonna put the full URL, the absolute URL in here, and then I'm gonna close this out, and then the link must open in a new browser tab. So there's a few things I need to do. So I'm gonna add another attribute here. I'm gonna write target, because that's the attribute for me to put it in its own browser tab. So I'm gonna write target equals, and then you have to look that up. And then I'm gonna write the name of whatever it is. So I'm gonna say my hypertext link text. Right? So this is where my hypertext link text will be. And then I'm gonna close out my tag with a /a. So this is essentially a link. Obviously I'm missing a lot of details here. So remember, your URL goes in here, your specification of how you want this to open. So you can look up target equals, and then I might look this up on W3. So I might write target, and then I write space W3, and it should open in the W3 browser and give you a little clue on how to set up that target. And then I have my hyperlink text. All right. So the next thing I'm gonna add another one. So I need 5 of these. So I'm gonna do another one real quick. Oops. I'm just gonna copy this one, and I'm gonna paste it right next to it, right underneath it. And this one's gonna be hyperlink text 2, and this one's gonna be 1. Right? And you'd have to do 5 of these. So one of the things that it needs is each link needs to be on its own line. So there's a few ways to accomplish this. I could do a paragraph, I could do a line break, I could do an unordered list or ordered list. So any of those will work on getting this on its own line. So whichever you feel most comfortable doing, I want you to experiment with. All right. Next, I have to add in 3 different picture types of pets that link to web pages that provide information on caring for that pet. So I'm just going to copy this H1 right here, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to paste it right there. This one I'm going to title image links. All right, so I can either have this as an H1 or an H2. H2 meaning that it's not as important as the H1 tag. And remember, whenever I do an H2, it's going to be smaller than the H1. So we have H1 through 6. So if I were to change this to 6, it would be really small compared to that H1. But I don't need it to be that small. I'm just going to say it's the second headline on the page. So it's a subhead or it's a second header. And I'm going to start putting in my image text. So I'm gonna copy this link right here and hit enter, and I'm gonna paste that link in there. So what I want to do is I need to change out my hypertext, my link text right here, and I need to change this to an image. So I'm gonna write img, right, for my image. And remember, image always needs two attributes. It needs the source attribute, so I'm gonna write source. And remember, an attribute always is a name equals value, so I'm gonna go equals, and then do my my parentheses, my quotation marks, and then I'm gonna write my alt tag. So you always need to have these attributes. So my source attribute and my alt attribute. I'm gonna go one step further and write a width attribute because I want all my images to look the same. And I'm going to title this 300. I'm going to do each image to be 300 pixels big. So that's a nice size for such a small web page. And then my image tag, remember, it's an empty tag. So if you recall what an empty tag means, it means it does not have another closing tag. So you could either put the slash in here, but I would prefer you not. So I'm just going to close that out and write image source and then do my source, my alt, and my width. And I have my link. So I'm going to, again, for this one, I need these to all be on separate lines. And it says make sure images are not excessively large by setting a width attribute. So I set my width attribute right there of 300. So test each link and that they work and open a new browser tab and you're done. So I'm just going to, you have to do 3 of those. I'm going to close out my page here. So I'm going to grab this body tag, copy that, paste that down here. It goes with a slash, right? And then I'm going to grab my HTML tag, paste that in here. And again, I want to put a slash. So this is my basic web page. Obviously, I need 3 of these. So I can just copy these and paste 3 of them. Right, and then I need 3 of these, and make sure that these are on, you figured out how you get these on separate lines. I need 5 of these actually, 4, 5. So make sure these are on separate lines, because as it stands, if I were to open this page, all these would be bumped up against each other. And actually, let me show you that real quick. So I'm gonna file, save, and I'm titling this external links.html. So external links.html, I save it. Let's cancel. Let's change it on the actual thing. It's a little bit different for a Mac. So I saved it as external links, and I'm going to minimize this and go to my downloads, and I'm going to change the title there .html. All right, and then I'm gonna use .html. I have to do a little bit differently on the Mac because it uses rich text formatting and stuff, which adds all these other attributes. So I'm just gonna open a new document. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Oops, wrong one. External link. Click open. So if you look here, this is all the RTF. This is the stuff that Mac does. I'd have to delete all that. But look at my links. They're all in one line. So I want these all to be on separate lines. So I have to, again, line break, paragraph tag, an unordered list or an ordered list, a paragraph tag, and a line break. All right, and again for these as well. So my images will show up right now. I don't have anything in there, so that's why it looks like that. But yours, once you get it all set up, it will work perfectly fine. And go ahead and submit that to Canvas. All right.